Good to see you there, Vern. I'm glad you can make the review. And of course, Sparky. Yeah, Sparky, you're into my scotch again. Darn it, Vern, he's got a bit of a problem there. And I know you like to get into the grass once in a while yourself. So we're looking at Scotland here. We're going to look for Glen Grant Distillery. So we're going to blow it up. And we're going to go to the town of Roths in the Speyside. And there it is. And there's Glen Grant Distillery right there. Well, welcome to Noel's World of Whiskey. And I just finished doing some cross country up on the mountain here over in Vancouver Island. And seeing if I got enough energy here to do a review. This is something I've been wanting to do. This is a whiskey that I sort of chose it out of. There's a lot of whiskeys that I sort of had in line that I wanted to do now that I'm off the island of Islay. The reason I'm doing this is one of the more well-known reviewers had done a review on this, and he kind of beat it up a bit, and he's somebody I respect, of course, and he's a very well-known reviewer. I'm not going to mention any names, but he is one of our we'll say Scottish reviewers, a well-known Scottish reviewer. And one of the things that he seemed to be flustered about was he thought that it was hot distilled. In other words, it had been run through the distills too fast. So I drank this numerous times, and I have the 18-year-old, and I actually had the whiskey that Jim Murray picked as whiskey of the year. That was an 18, and I was just curious. I went out and bought a bottle after the bad review, and I don't know. I liked it. So we all have different palates, but I studied it. I wanted to know, is this been run through the stills too fast? Is this a hot whiskey? I drink bourbon, I drink rye, I drink whiskeys from all over the world. I've drank Glen Grants, I like them. So, you know what? We're going to do a review on it. And I'm playing with a different kind of glass today. This is what's called a Trudeau glass. It's similar to a Glencairn. I've drank, numerous times out of it. I find it's very good for nosing. So we're going to use this glass for nosing. And I could get a Glencairn, but this works just as well. I have lots of glasses. So anyways, Glen Grant. It's a famous whiskey, huge in Europe, huge in Italy. Looks like I've drank some. So I'm kind of cheating here. I have drank it. So I didn't do this tonight, by the way. I actually went out and bought another bottle of this. Thanks to the reviewer, and if he's watching this, I liked it so much I went out and bought another bottle. Now, he could have got a bad batch, but I certainly didn't get what he got. Or I didn't get my palate didn't get what he got. And he was just totally disgusted with it, and I'm not. So, but I'm going to give you the review anyways. And I'm certainly going to be going and looking for that review from that famous reviewer. So I watch a lot of reviewers. I'm not mentioning names, but I watch them all. Let's move on here, and let's get this thing started. I always like to give you a little quick history on Glen Grant. So Glen Grant was founded in 1840 by the brothers John and James Grant. And they were two former illegal distillers and smugglers who decided to take out a license, make it legal. With the sea and the port of Dartmouth nearby and the River Spey at their feet and barley growing all around them, they had all the basic ingredients to make this distillery a success. And this time the distillery was legal. In 1872, the founders of Glen Grant Distillery had died. A young James Major Grant was born in 1847 and always taken a keen interest in the distillery, and having inherited the business and the title Glen Grant from his uncle John Grant, he was to prove himself a worthy successor. And there's lots of stories about Major Grant. He was a legendary innovator. He was an incredible socializer and traveler. And I mean, I've seen pictures of him with his shotgun out there hunting pheasants, and he was an avid fisherman with a spey rod. And basically, he was the man of the planet, and he lived by his own rules, and he set his own standards. And new ideas fascinated him, and he wasn't afraid to explore them. And he was one of the first man in the Highlands to own a car. That's pretty interesting. Must have got stuck the odd time. Glen Grant was the first distillery to have electric lights. And he was the first to introduce the purifiers, which created the fresh, malty flavor and the clear color that defines Glen Grant whiskey to this day. In 1931, Major Grant, the last of the Glen Grants, died. Now, Douglas Mackensack, that was his grandson, was to become the successor. Now, Douglas Mackensack was a famous British cricket player. So in 1972, the Glenlivet and Glen Grant Distilleries Limited amalgamated. Original family interest in the distilleries was maintained, with two substantial outside shareholders. And Courage Limited was the brewing end of it, and Suntory Limited, and that's the huge Japanese beverage company. And then, of course, in 2006, Campari acquired Glen Grant. Now, Scotland's a malt whiskey trail. We're all familiar with that. It's a big tourism thing. And in its initiative, that it features these 7 working Speyside distilleries. And Glen Grant is actually included as one of these distilleries. That's probably enough history for now. What I would like to do is, I'd like to pour myself a dram, and let's get into the review. Now, I've used this glass before. I've used it right next to a Glen Grant glass, and this definitely I would match it up to a Glen Grant glass for nosing. So the first notes I always get, and I'm going to be cheating a bit here because I've nosed this lots. I'm always going to get the vanilla from the bourbon casks. It is a sweet, very sweet smelling drink. There is tangerines always, and we do get a little bit of the black chocolate toward the end. Spiciness. And the spiciness is cinnamon, but maybe a little bit of cloves, a little nutmeg. I love the smell. I could wear this stuff. It's like a perfume, Now, I don't think our reviewer was critical at the nose. I think he appreciated the nose of it. So basically, I always seem to get that sweetness first, and it always seems to follow with the spicier notes. I have gotten coffee, but the wood it seems to dominate in this particular. This is the 15-year-old expression. Some things I didn't tell you about it was this is at, I'm pretty sure this is at 50%. I need my other glass to be able to read. Yeah, 50%, and it is not chill filtered, and it does not have coloring in it. So, anyways. And I also get leather. Really nice, like this is nice leather. This is like new car leather. And sweetness with the leather. Yeah, sweetness with the leather, and you know, spice on top of it. Literally, you're getting layers, is what you're getting. Geez, my nose is working really good. I think the Nordic track helped me today up in the mountain there. I think I had a good aerobic workout, so I'm smelling all sorts of things here. Oh boy, I've got some lemon lime stuff going on here. Almost like a lemon lime cordial. You know, the stuff you mix with margarita? Anyways, now for the palate. I'm not even going to add water here because I think what I'm trying to do is I'm basically sending a message. This is this, or I'm asking the question, is this has this been run through the still too fast? Is this hot distilled whiskey? It's pretty mellow. For a 50%, it's pretty mellow. I get a lot of sweetness. It really coats your tongue. It sure didn't smack me. You know, I'm not getting. I've had 43% with a bit of alcohol burn. I think my last that was in my last review. This doesn't give me an alcohol burn. It's really coating the mouth here, and I'm definitely getting some tartness, kind of like a sweet and sour. So, just as I had noted in the nose, there is now some spicy, peppery, nutmeggy stuff going on under that sweetness. It's not dominating, but it's under the sweetness, and I'm definitely getting the tangerines again. I taste tangerines a lot in whiskey for some reason. But I'm getting dark orange chocolate. There's always a little sweetness to this. Oh, here comes the wood. So now I'm getting the wood notes, the tannins. They're sort of coming to the tail end of it. But they don't have a bite, you know, they're not bitter. You know, I've had tannins that were bitter, and wasn't sure if I enjoyed it or not, but this is certainly not over wood for 15 years old. So, but if this is a hot whiskey, I'm sure enjoying it, as you can see, and I do have another bottle I just purchased. So I must have got lucky. I must have got a good batch, because this reviewer, I have a lot of respect for him, and he must have got a bad batch. That's the only explanation. I mean, I can't understand how his palate would be that much different than mine. I mean, we do have different palates, but not to that extreme, you know. So, but anyways, that's my opinion. That's my palate. So, let's go for the finish. This is going to last. This finish is going to carry on. I can tell you, it's a 50%. It's got a coating. It doesn't look like a heavy drink. I mean, I'm looking at the legs on it, but they're not. I mean, there's legs, but you know, it's not super thick, but it coats your mouth. Always thought of Glen Grant as a light distillate, but it always coats my mouth. It's kind of a creamy texture. At 50%, amazingly smooth. This is huge in Italy. This is the biggest selling Scotch whiskey in Italy. Italians love this stuff. Campari, that owns it today, they are an Italian company. So basically sweet, slightly sour notes after the sweet, and then barely a little bitterness. I believe the wood's coming in now. Peppery. Yeah, the wood's got the tannins that are starting to show up. So we've got the pepper notes, and then we got the a little bit of, just a wee bit of astringency, not much. Very slight. Probably disappearing right now because I don't notice it anymore. So it was just a little bit of a blast of astringency, very short-lived. So, but mouth's dry, still feels coated. I'm getting a little bit of that echoing of the I think the bourbon finished casks there. That sweetness just it's there right through the drink. You know, not as strong now as it was you know, at the beginning of my palate, but you still get a little bit of it. So this is a good drink. I really believe it's I wouldn't have bought a second bottle if I didn't believe it was a good drink. I wouldn't have the 18-year-old. Glen Grant, to me, I didn't discover Glen Grant until I read, you know, Jim Murray's Bible. That goes back a few years, mind you, but and I just went right out and bought the 18. Back when 18s were affordable. You know, I think I don't know, it's probably a couple $100 now for that 18, but I don't think I paid anywhere close to that. And I liked it. I really enjoyed it. It's not as you know, it's not as high ABV as this. I'm trying to remember what it is. I don't know, is it 43 or? They both have their place. This has its place. The 18 has its place. And what I appreciate about this is that to me, it's almost like an everyday whiskey. And I don't add. I played with water. I play with water all the time because all the experts play with water. So I don't call myself an expert, but I've been drinking Scotch all my life, and I'm an old bugger. And I could tell you the story. You know, my dad brought Scotch back from the World War II. He was in the Battle of Britain, and when he came home, he was a pilot. He was one of the first Canadian pilots over there. Because he had a license. He was a valuable guy right at the beginning of the Battle of Britain. I mean, let's face it, the Brits were outnumbered. You know, what was it, 9-1 or something? But anyways, he brought Scotch back. He brought some of the culture back, and we used to sneak into that Scotch when we were kids. So it was blended Scotch. It wasn't single malt. Single malt wasn't really happening back then. Certainly not to the public, but or to people that over in North America here. But we remember names like, I believe Highland Cream was one of his drinks, and you know, teachers. Johnny Walker, not so much. He did have the odd Johnny Walker, but myself, you know, when I was working in the oil business and that, and it was, you know, a young crowd, a bunch of college kids and all that, we used to drink the blended scotches, and you know, I remember Dewar's and Chivas and you know, the odd Johnny Walker. Not as much Johnny Walker. It was probably more Chivas and Dewar's. Dewar's was really popular with us, and it took Dewar's today. I like Dewar's today, especially their 21-year-old double aged and that. It's an amazing whiskey, but. You know, to make a long story short, you know, you go through all these years of drinking whiskey, and you start with the blended, and you're probably not drinking really high-end blended scotches, but you're getting an appreciation. There is scotch, there is some single malt mixed in with that grain alcohol. And I think it was my first experience was Glenfiddich was the very first single malt that I probably had. It was many years ago. I don't even remember when that was. And then, you know, I got into the Glenlivets, and I think Macallan's in its day it blew me away. It was such a good Scotch, and I think it was better back then, and for the money and all that. That's my, you know, but I can't compare because I don't have those Macallan's back then, and I can't put it next to a Macallan's today. But you know, you move through all these Scotches through the years, and my son contributed a lot to my knowledge. He was a researcher, and he got me into some Springbanks and, you know, some very rare Scotches, some old Taliskers 18s and all that, and some 21-year-olds whiskeys that are hard to get today and certainly are not affordable. But Glen Grant was a whiskey that I kind of found myself by reading, you know, Jim Murray's Bible. So this guy here, this is not a hot distilled whiskey, this bottle here. This particular whiskey, I think our reviewer might have had a bad batch. I think that's possible. I think you can get bad batches and they can get bottled, and for sure, you know, it can happen. But I've been very lucky with this, and the only reason I did this review was not to insult the reviewer. It was more to give this credibility, because I really do like this stuff, and I think it needs that deserved credibility. It's a quality whiskey. If I was rating this, I don't even have to get technical, but I've thought this one over. This whiskey here is going to be 86, 87. That's where it's going to sit in my, and I'm maybe a little stiffer than some people are on my reviews. I'm always a point or two below, but this is a respectable whiskey. It's something that I would recommend for the price. Oh God, for the price, this is a 90 for the price. I paid. This is a 50 ABV. It's no coloring added, non-chill filtered. $90 maybe, 89 in Canada. I mean, it's a killer price for what you're getting. So anything that I've given you on this whiskey was thought out previously, because I've been drinking this whiskey for a while. And I recommend it. And I think if you can find this whiskey at the price I found it, it's a very good value. It's definitely worth putting in your wheelhouse. It is certainly got some unique character to it. It's Glen Grant. I think it's a bit of an icon. So, anyways, so long, and to the next time, drink wisely, intelligently. Do not drink and drive. And so long.